see you all grown in there. I know what you're thinking. You're all thinking, here comes another one of those urban myths. Now, you know how to tell an urban myth, don't you? Huh? Well, I'll tell you. The teller of an urban myth always claims the story is true. They know it's true because it happened to a friend of a friend. It's never a friend, it's always a friend of a friend. But in this case, this happened to a friend of mine. Hang on, let's move this chair. Yeah, it was a friend of mine. Now the date was the 22nd of September 2002. And my mate is self-employed. He finished work early that day and he come home, middle of the afternoon. And he was in good spirits because, you see, he's got this passion for real ale. And that evening he planned a little excursion around a few select pubs, you know, that he liked to sample their ales. But when he got home, his wife said, "Oh, being as you're home early, why don't you put that shelf up in the kitchen?" Yeah. Well, he was about to complain when she said, "Before you go to the pub." So he knew he'd got to do it. Well, he got his tools out now. He ain't really a tradesman, you know what I mean, but he'll have a go. So he got to work. Now, if any of you know anything about fixing to a wall, you know you've got to get things right. You know, you've got to have the right size drill, the right plug to go in the hole, and the right gauge and length of screw to screw it in. I ain't saying everything was just so in this case. And anybody who's ever fitted anything to a wall knows that satisfying feeling when you lock it down solid and you know you're going to have to pull the wall over to get that off. It wasn't quite like that. It was a little bit spongy. You know what I mean? Yeah, but he felt he'd done a good job. So off he went, he had his shower, his wife cooked him a lovely tea, just as she does every night. And he always reckons if you're going out drinking, you've got to do it on a full stomach. And that's good advice, I would say. So anyway, he had his tea and then he set off. Now, I've told you about his passion for real ale, but he's got this other sort of passion as well, and that is, when he's drinking, he likes pickled eggs. Yeah, I mean, they're a bit like Marmite, aren't they? You know, you either love them or hate them. Now, I don't think Marmite had realised, but he only seems to fancy a pickled egg when he's drinking. But one of the pubs he was going to that evening was one of these old-fashioned black country pubs where they keep a big jar of pickled eggs on the back, you know. And, well, he always had one. And on a previous visit, he'd come up with this bright idea. He thought, if I got a jar of pickled eggs like that, I could have one any time I wanted. So he asked the landlord if he'd get him a big jar of pickled eggs. That night when he went in, the landlord had got him this jar of pickled eggs. Well, he had a lovely evening and he arrived back at his home in Cradley Heath well after midnight. And he was in that state that real ale drinkers can appreciate. You know, everything was just right. Got his big jar of pickled eggs under his arm. He walked into the house. His wife had gone off to bed some time earlier. And he put that jar of pickled eggs down on the table and he sat down by the side of the table to look at his handiwork of the previous afternoon. And he was, well, while he'd been out, his wife had put all her blue and white china that she'd been collecting for the last 20 years. She made a nice display of it on this shelf. But as he looked at it, he noticed there was a space in the middle. It needed something to set it off, you know what I mean? So obviously she'd left it there for something. But, well, this dim little light went on in his brain and he thought, my pickled eggs. So he got his jar of pickled eggs and he went over. Now, he took great care in positioning that just so in the centre of the display. Now, they say distance lends enchantment to the view. So he stepped back a few yards to look at it. And he was just admiring it there when they all lot hit the floor, smash everything on that shelf was smashed to smithereens, except for the jar of pickled eggs. Somehow it had survived. Well, he heard his wife jump out of bed, and he thought very quickly, especially for the state he was in. He grabbed the jar of pickled eggs and he hid it behind the sideboard. Now it was exactly 7 minutes to 1 local time when his wife descended the stairs. She got to the bottom of the stairs and she stopped dead because the whole house started to shake like that. She had to hang on to the newel post to support herself. It finished as quickly as it started. It lasted roughly 30 seconds. She walked in to the kitchen and saw the mess and she said, "What happened?" He says, "I think we had an earthquake." I know you're laughing, but he was quite right. It was the Dudley earthquake. Yeah, you remember it now, and you still talk about it down our way. I mean, it reached almost 5 on the Richter scale. And he, done untold damage, or was blamed for untold damage all around the Black Country. It was blamed for, the smashing of this lady's crockery. Well, she never found out, and they're still happily married. She still cooks him a nice meal every evening, and anyway, I met up with my mate the other day, and I mentioned this, you see. I tend to every time I see him, actually. And I says, "Don't you regret not getting a tradesman like myself to fix that shelf?" And he looked me straight in the eye. He says, "I'll tell you what I do regret." I said, "What's that?" He says, "Ever telling you about it." I said, "Oh, come on, you don't think I'm the sort of bloke that goes around telling everybody, do you?"